everyone. So this is my first time going live. Not that it will really mean anything different. I already film all my videos and don't edit them and just throw them up. So it's pretty much the same. But this will be a little bit longer of a video. I'm going through a lot of things today and wanted to just try out this format. So first of all, welcome to everybody who is new to this channel. I've gained a few subscribers ever since I put out my products that I've hit pan on video for like the last 6 months, and I'm really glad that you enjoyed that, and it seemed to have some good popularity, and I really love those types of videos, and it takes a long time, of course, to get enough products to do another one, so I hope to have another one ready for you guys in about 6 months or so, and we'll probably actually do an end of the year kind of overview as well, which I'm very, very excited about. But today you get to see my face and and I really want to introduce you guys to my full Franken makeup collection as it is right now. And I'm really excited. I actually have 14 products to show you. 15 if you count kind of an honorable mention, and I'll just talk through kind of the tips and tricks that I have, and I've Franken a lot of different products, probably almost every single item that you can think of I've done, and you guys will get to see kind of what I've put into each one, how I go through it, how I think through things, and hopefully it'll be exciting. So I'll do my best to go kind of in the order of the way I put on my makeup. And some of the things you'll see are missing. Like it's not every single product, but I'll try to mention things and kind of go from there. So first and foremost, let's go with the foundation. Actually, this is my honorable mention, so that's kind of funny that it came up first. I don't have any Franken primers. I don't usually Franken a primer, um, but I do Franken foundations, that's for sure. And I actually just finished this one up. This was my Neutrogena Hydro Boost, and originally it was in the shade Natural Beige, I think, and it was just a product that oxidized like 2 or 3 shades, 4 shades even, too dark. And so I added in a too light concealer to try to help with that, but that made it too full coverage, so then I added a tinted moisturizer, and that made the product go a little funny. I think I also added in like a sample foundation at some point. So by the end of its life, I actually had like 4 different things in here, and basically how I would do it is there was a stopper in here. I took it out, but there was a stopper in here. I just, mixed in whatever I wanted and then used a spatula. Um, this is one of my handiest, dandiest tools. Sorry, it's dirty. I just finished a Franken project with this. This is a super old, actually Sephora brand makeup spatula. I don't think they sell this anymore. I bought this I think 15 years ago, and it was really great. I wish they still had it around, but this shape is probably the best one that I have out of all of the like spatulas that I have. But this one gets in there perfectly. I was able to mix it around because I really had to make sure that it was mixed thoroughly, because I was also mixing different shades together. And then from there, I actually had a pump on this to further Franken the product. I actually had a pump on this that was meant to be for a MAC bottle, but anyways, that one didn't reach down to the bottom, but I used up what I could using the pump, and then the rest of that, I've actually Frankened to my liquid contour. This is a great segue, because it just Franken so many things. It just goes from one to the other. But basically, I Franken together this liquid contour from whatever was left in that Hydro Boost tint, and I had a too dark liquid contour that I made using, this looks so dark, right? It was using a Dior it's like a sample blister pack. It had 9 shades and it mixed together super dark, which was great that they're showcasing like their huge range, but I'm on the lighter end of the range, and so mixing them all together was created this really dark shade. I think they also showcase like a lot of their dark shades, so I feel like their middle shade is lighter than this for sure. But basically this was too dark. The foundation obviously is too light to be a liquid contour, so I mixed two, put that in here, sorry, and lots of things piled up over here. And so yeah, now it's become a good liquid contour shade, and planning on using this up as a part of my daily routine. And then the next thing after this is my cream blush. So currently I am trying to use up my cream blush that's right here. This used to be actually a powder blush, but I didn't like the shade, so I went ahead and took it out and pushed in the MAC So Natural Glow Play blush. And as you can see, it's got pretty like putty-like texture. But the reason I'm including it in this video is not only is it this blush, which I actually swatched right here previously. It's a really natural shade, and but I actually Also put in a lipstick that was too light for my lips, but it was good on the cheeks, and I felt like it was good, but I didn't like the packaging. It was one of those like super mini lipsticks. So I ended up putting that in here and sort of mixing it together. I really rely on my brush that I use from day to day to mix it together, but that's kind of where it is right now, and I would consider it a Franken cream blush. On the topic of blushes, I guess I'll mention this one even though it's a lip product. For one, I want to sing the praises of lip palettes. I really wish that there was more around. I was able to pick up this decade-old lip palette from this was from like a used resale site, but it is the MAC Viva Glam lip palette. And first of all, I mean, you already get to naturally franken using a lip brush with a lip palette, but I actually further franken this one. Or one for one, I use it for frankening. So I use this for something I call blush and bronzer cocktails. This one I use in my blush cocktails. This one I use in my bronzer cocktails because both of these shades I don't really enjoy on my lips, so they end up being demoted isn't really the right word, but they end up being used otherwise in like my cocktails. So this one I've used up and hit pan on in my blush cocktails. This one I actually do have pan, but it's kind of smudged over for my bronzer cocktails. And then this one is really cool, is that this one is actually a red shade that I don't really enjoy. And this is the Ruby Woo in the newest Maximal line. And so this one's like a decade old red, and this is like months old red shade. And basically I had some left over from a lip palette that I made, which I maybe I'll show next. But had some left over, and so I ended up putting that in here because it was just around the right size. And so now I use this to so basically I like franken this shade together is what I'm trying to say in terms of like traditional frankening, but obviously like I said, I use the other shades to franken stuff too. And then I actually use this shade to franken into a gloss because I realized that for lip glosses, I know there's like that trend where you can mix in like an eyeshadow into like a clear lip gloss and get a really cool shade. But I realized like if you're just trying to get pigment to your lip gloss, you can also use lipsticks or shades that you don't otherwise use a ton of into your lip gloss too. So I actually had a red lip gloss from Glossier that was actually too sheer of a red, which was surprising because I don't really wear red colors to begin with. But I was like, well, I want to add a little bit more red. So I ended up putting this into here. And I actually just did that today. So if you can tell, there's a little bit of like a gloss on there. That's because that's for me, like using the applicator in here to mix a little bit of the red and then mix it further into this. So now it's a more opaque red, which is actually what I swatched in another video for. That's this swatch here. And so it's really nice now. I actually have on my lips now, and it's just kind of like livens up my lips a little bit, I guess. Um, and so, yeah, this is a Franken gloss, just to say that. And then let me talk about the lip palette that I made really quick before I move into my other lip glosses, because I feel like we're kind of in that territory now. But basically, the lip palette that I made was from you know those blister lipstick packs, those are so hard to use, and I've been on kind of the lip palette train, and I actually had this empty compact from Stila, so I ended up mixing all of the sample lipsticks into here. I think I had like three of them, and yeah, it was just enough to fill this and more. But basically when you make a lip palette, I do use an open flame, so I use a candle, and then I use a metal spoon, and basically I melt the product into the metal spoon and then pour it into the compact, and I feel like that makes the most uniform um, kind of texture, and it doesn't seem to disturb the formulation itself. There are some products out there that don't do well if they're melted that way, so you're definitely very careful in doing that. I do have a few videos up on my YouTube as well as on my Instagram about my process, like kind of like a time lapse short so you can kind of see how this came together actually. And yeah, I actually haven't dug into this. This is still brand new from when I last melted it. Haven't dug into this one, but I'm really looking forward to using some of these shades. So that is that project that I did, that Franken project that I did. So in terms of my other lip products that are also Franken, I actually have, I think, 5 more to share with you. I've gone through a lot. So on the train of like lip glosses, I have also, this is another Franken lip gloss. Sorry, it looks surprisingly empty, but that's because had it sitting flat. But basically, this was originally the nearly neutral shade of the Rare Beauty lip gloss, and I really love this packaging. I find it superior to other packaging, if I may say so myself. But it only holds 3.8 milliliters, which isn't a ton, but it's just enough for me to be like frankening stuff in there. So this one might have about 5 different things in here at this point. Most of them was like there was barely any left, so I just like threw it in here and I just like kept topping it off ever since then. And so I think I might have a little bit of this one, and then probably every other lip gloss that I finished since then. Like there's probably remnants of it in here, but at this point, this lip gloss is just about here, and I'm really hoping that this might actually be the last lip gloss, like colored lip gloss that I have in its original state. And then in my other Rare Beauty lip gloss tube, I have already done another Franken lip concoction of, I've been talking a lot about it on my channel if you've been following, but this MAC lip gloss and MAC lip conditioner. This one's too sticky, and then this one is too emollient. And so mixing them together actually makes a nearly perfect lip gloss consistency. So that's what's in here now. I just wanted 2 of them already mixed, like pre-mixed in something, and I had just used up this lip gloss and actually put whatever was left of it in here. Go figure. But yeah, so I feel like in the future, I really actually plan on using these two, kind of, putting it in a lip gloss tube like this, and then using, my other lipsticks and using my lipsticks as the pigment for my lip gloss, because I really just want like a sheer lip gloss anyway, like kind of like a barely there look. So it just doesn't make sense for me to be going out of my way to purchase something, and like I've discovered in my collection that I can make things work together in that way. So I think I'll be doing that for the near future. I go through lip glosses really fast, so that's why I feel like I have the space and the time to be experimenting. So the next, I guess, is kind of a gloss, but this is housed in the MAC Glow Play um, lip balm here. This was clear originally, and this is actually reserved this specifically for my toddler to use. And so after she finished up whatever was left in here, I ended up concocting for her own little lip balm here. This is basically clear. It's a mix of the solid Aquaphor stick and I think maybe like a little bit of a lipstick pigment. And basically I again melted it on my spoon, and then poured it in, and poured it in directly into this packaging, just because this is one of the ones where it's the lipstick molds to the packaging rather than using an actual lipstick mold. So yeah, she enjoys using this. I don't use it for myself, but this is one of the frankening projects that I've done recently. So now on to actual lipsticks. I actually did purchase a lipstick mold. I don't have it out to show you guys, but I can show you the result of it. I'm quite proud of it. It's actually a patterned or textured lipstick mold. So it actually comes out with flowers, and I believe on one side there's a cat. Let me see if I can show it to you. I think you can see it there. Yeah, there's a little like Chinese lucky cat type of shape over there. Um, so yeah, I'm Chinese, but I think a lot of lipstick molds come from China, so I think that's why they have more like Chinese patterns to them. Also, if you do a little bit of if you've looked into Chinese lipsticks or like Asian brand lipsticks, a lot of those are quite patterned. So I just wonder if that's like a trend that's normal over there. Basically, I created 2 Franken lipsticks using that mold. This one is originally had the MAC These Lips Are Expensive, which was kind of like a nude, peachy nude on me, but it was it pulled a little too warm for my liking. So I did mix in some other shades in here to kind of further cool it down. Actually, I think the pattern on here is even better than the other one, to be honest. Let me swatch this one for you. There's that one there. Yeah, it's still pretty warm, but not as warm as it originally was. And then this one originally had Plum Dandy, which was definitely very plummy and with like a gold shimmer, which was very pretty, but too intense for my everyday. So I ended up mixing that with some other neutral shades to get this more cool tone neutral over here. So very proud of these two. Haven't really used them. They actually kind of have still the MAC vanilla scent, because I think I use mainly MAC like I mainly mixed MAC lipsticks in with these, so I feel like there's still a slight hint of that MAC I'm trying to say the MAC scent in here, that vanilla scent in here, which is really cool. And I feel like through the mixing too, I've also sheared them out a little bit. So I'm really happy with the shades that I have here, and I'm looking forward to using these up at some point in the near future. All right, have I exhausted my lip products? I think so. All right, let's move into, I told you I'd do an order of my application, but that's clearly out the window. Okay, let's move into eyes next. I feel like that's kind of where I'm looking at in terms of my pile below me here. So for eyes, I have this MAC paint pot in Groundwork. It's kind of like a taupey color, and it is a mess in here. So, so as you can see here, you can probably see the original shade. Can I dig some? No, I don't. I think at this point I've mixed in so much stuff, I can't even get the original color out. But it's pretty much a matte. It might have a little bit of a shimmer, but barely anything. But as you can see now, it's very shimmery. It's because of three things really. One, I have a really shimmery eyeshadow in my pan, that palette. I don't have that with me right now, but really super, super shimmery, really, really soft. I think there's something about the formulation that's like almost cream-like, but I've used it up so much that at this point it's starting to shatter every time not every time, but every once in a while it shatters. And so whatever I can salvage, whatever is not dirty, I end up pushing it into this groundwork here, and then I can pick up and like mix groundwork along with that shimmer to kind of double down a little bit. It's a little too intense for every day, but I like that mix. In addition, I also have two other like cream eyeshadows in my collection. They're both from the Sephora line, and one is taupe, one is bright sunset. And let me just actually swatch. Actually, I can barely swatch them because I just mixed them into Groundwork. And so this is taupe. So you can see it's like a very shimmery taupey color, obviously. And then bright sunset, I'm gonna put right on top, whatever I can smudge out of here. Very pinky shimmery there. And I actually really like the two of them mixed together. Let me see if I can kind of mix them together. Mix them together at the end over here. So you can see if I mix them together, they're really pretty like that. Just at this tip here, but it's just like such a pain to mix the two, to put them both in my eyes or apply them somehow. So putting them into my paint pot allows me to use the brush that I normally use to mix those two together. And I just push them in. I don't even bother like mixing it in with Groundwork. It's just naturally with, I really enjoy the process of mixing them on the go, like day to day. And so that's kind of what's happening in this one. So I consider this a Franken product, even though I haven't like mixed it and like created it and like done the full process of melting and mixing and all that stuff. But I think in terms of the fact that it's multiple products coming together in one packaging, that's what's going on here. One of my latest makeup experiments, which I did post a short about creating this, is my Franken eye palette, which looks like this. It's kind of crazy. I was inspired, I think, by one of the latest Estee Lauder um, like eyeshadow palettes, where it's basically kind of like this, where everything's merged together in one palette. There's different pops of color and stuff like that, but essentially there's no distinct pans, which I thought was one really interesting and one totally makes sense, especially for someone like me who just mixes stuff already. But I had a ton of graveyard eyeshadows that were just like lying around, didn't know what to do with them, didn't know when I was going to touch them because I'm obviously concentrating on my pan palette. But I was like, let me experiment and see how it turns out. And it actually turned out beautifully. And some people have been asking me to swatch this because I never actually swatched it and told people how it turned out, but it actually turned out really, really pretty. And obviously you can't buy this. I can't tell you even what shades are in here, but the way it turned out is beautiful. So let me go ahead and swatch this. I've been using this purple. It's actually just kind of like a purpley pink shade. And it kind of swatches like that. I'm going to move down here for you guys. And sorry, my lighting is like not that great to show accurate swatches, but honestly, you're not watching. I hope you're not watching this to have what I have, because you never will. But for the sake of swatching it and kind of telling you how these projects turn out, that's pretty great. I just swatched this one up here. It's my middle finger. It's this gold shade. And this one's probably the softest out of the bunch, but it definitely still packs a punch even after the repressing. And then I'm kind of wiping my fingers off to the side here, but it's not completely wiped off, but that's okay. This one is a blend of Motif from MAC and probably some other sort of neutral shade, but it does pull the pink shift that I love from Motif. but that's that one right there. Now we're moving into kind of the darker shades here. This is like a mix of a blue and a purple, if you can kind of see. So, and this one ends up swatching really sheer, which is okay with me because especially colorful colors, I prefer to apply sheerly so I can build it up if I want to. I just kind of have a standard brown, dark brown over here, so I'm trying to pick that up. And I don't think I got it very well. Yeah, I think I got it mixed in with the other color, with the color next to it, which is fine. Let me see if I can get a more clean. Oh, I totally skipped a shade, sorry. Let me just try to do the brown color first. Yeah, it's just like a dark brown. I know to most people, people are like, if you were trying to buy this as an eyeshadow, you'd be like, wow, those are so patchy. I would never buy that, but it's not for sale, sorry. This is the dark green shade, and this one is definitely still the darkest of the bunch. Like, repressing it, mixing it did not make a difference with the intensity of that one. And then the last one here is this dark blue on the side. I can't really tell that's the shade, but it is a dark blue. And this one is also still pretty potent. Sheer, I think, for what other people might consider it to be, but for me, it is perfectly fine because I really already like dab off the excess, tap off the excess. I really don't want that much applied into my eyes on a day-to-day basis. So that's this palette. Let me hold it. Sorry, my lighting is so terrible. But yeah, I am really, really happy with how that turned out. And this was probably one of my greatest Franken accomplishments for this year. All right, and then I think the last one I want to share with you guys is my DIY loose powder. This is the last step in my, you know, in my day-to-day, so I think this is appropriate. Basically, I have this much left, and I use this compact that I got off of Amazon. It's holds a very little amount of loose powder, but it has a puff. It has this mesh that the powder comes out of, which I think is probably genius. And then you can basically lift off this little bit here and then put in your powder underneath. I'm not going to lift it. I don't want to make a mess. But this time around, I actually have multiple things. Ooh, I actually forgot to grab one. So let me grab one of the ingredients here because I've been meaning to show everybody what it is. Sorry for the rustling. Oh, I'm reaching for the wrong bag. That's why. All right. I told myself to grab this beforehand, but I didn't. Okay, so this one in particular is a mix of a lot of things. For one, I wanted to really experiment with kind of like that pink powder trend. So after I put in my base of, it's actually like a deluxe size sample of the Laura Mercier powder. I don't have that with me, but I'm not gonna run and get that. But after putting a little bit of the Laura Mercier powder, which I think is probably one of the more superior powders out there, but the sample amount is honestly enough for me because of just how much other stuff I add into my DIY loose powder. So that one as a base, and then I put in my for like the blush tone or like the pink tone, I ended up putting in a little bit of my Laura Geller blush here. As you can see, this is full of multiple tones, but there's a little corner here that already had a bit of, like, it was nearing pan, so I dug out a very, very small amount to kind of add into my loose powder. And then the majority of the color in the powder is actually from this Laura Geller powder foundation. As you can see, I have a ton of pan in here, and I just kind of dig away at maybe like a corner here. I think this is the freshest corner here. And this amount that's left in here will probably last me 2 more loose powder projects, if you will. So I'm excited to get through this using that method. And then lastly, I don't mind a little bit of shimmer in my powder. I added in barely enough for it to be noticeable. So I've been, this time I tried the MAC Soft and Gentle powder here. This is actually too stark for me to use as a highlight. Where can I add this? Where is there space? Right here. But yeah, I think for one, I don't apply highlighter day to day, and two, it's just too stark for my skin tone. So I'm trying to add it into here to kind of see if that works. And so far, I haven't really noticed it. I barely added any, but it still is progress from this one. So that's kind of how I'm hoping to get some progress on some products that I don't usually reach for or not able to reach for. But using them kind of in this like frankening way really allows me to get progress on them. So last thing here is I think just some tips and tools that I use frequently in my frankening projects. I already showcased a few, like the candle and the spoon for lip products. That's probably the most common that I use there. But probably my most like MVP tool for frankening is actually this cuticle pusher. I think it might be like the CVS brand, to be honest, but there's like a large flat side and then kind of a smaller side. I mainly use this side. For one, this is really stiff. I mean, I know there's other metal spatulas that you can get out there, but this is small and this is stiff. And just the curvature of it too, because it looks a little bit like a spoon. There's probably like color all over my hand, sorry. Because it looks like a spoon, I'm also able to like scoop out products, and I feel pretty good about that. Of course, I sanitize this before and after every time I use it. Um, and so, on that note, isopropyl alcohol, I just have 70%, and that works fine. I would honestly prefer something like closer to like 90%, just because that's seems more appropriate for the projects that I have. But yes, isopropyl alcohol for one for sanitization, but also especially when you're working with like pressing powder products together, this becomes the liquid for the brief amount of time, and then it evaporates and then leaves behind, of course, the eyeshadow that you want. So this is basically all that I used for to press together my eyeshadow palette here. And then just because this type of spatula is hard to come by nowadays, I think the brand Spatty might be close, but there's something about the curvature of this lip here that can really get underneath like the rim, like this foundation here. Sorry, I'm trying to demonstrate here. So as you can see, like when I dip this in there, it can at least still reach the rim around here that maybe a normal spatula wouldn't be able to get to. I did purchase something that's more on the market now, which is this double-ended spatula here as like a spoon side. This side's too flexible, honestly, to be that useful. The spatula side I find somewhat useful, but it doesn't have that same, the size of like the lip there isn't the same as the old Sephora spatula. Let me just hold them side by side here. Yeah, it just doesn't compare. It can do some jobs, but I don't think it can do some of those like more specialized jobs that are really for makeup packaging. And so yes, having a good spatula, having a good type of tool, it's like metal spatula type thing is also really useful. Especially when you're mixing together cream products or if you're trying to cut like lipsticks and things like that. Having a metal spatula around is really useful. You could also use a knife, but I find that having a metal spatula or something like this cuticle pusher is really, really helpful. And of course, be safe, keep things sanitized, have a towel and at least a lot of napkins nearby to really be wiping things, because transferring liquid products can get really messy. Cream products can get really messy. Powder products can get really messy too. Protect your floor if you can, because we all know makeup, it can stain. Have some OxyClean nearby or something, because I've had to use it a few times for my projects. Definitely stained a few spots, and need to tell the landlord. So yeah, so I think that's kind of what I wanted to share here. And yeah, hopefully this inspires you to do some frankening projects of your own, or at least get some ideas for maybe some products that you aren't touching often that maybe you could franken and could make into a more usable product for you. And what's cool about frankening too is that you can also make small portions of them, and so that really allows you to try your experiment first, and then if you want to make a larger batch you can, kind of like how I did this franken lip gloss with these two products. I wasn't sure. I had just literally the idea popped into my head one night, and I was like, one's too sticky, one too emollient. What if I combine them? So I first started in a little sample pot. Really love that, and now I am at this point of putting it into a real lip gloss tube. And so it's a really, really great way of also repurposing old packaging, especially packaging that you really love or components that you really enjoy. Like, I would not put a new foundation in this bottle. I didn't care for it, but I've showcased these rare beauty tubes over and over and over again because I just love the way that this is. And like this DIY compact, this one of course didn't have an original powder in it, but I like it enough where I have multiple of these now from Amazon, and obviously they're cheap enough, and they really work great for the projects that I want them for. And it even makes products that have really challenging components before, like I'm starting, I think, to fall out of love of like this kind of mineral based product, but the fact that I can mix them into something is really nice. And or like these two I probably wouldn't be able to use on their own really, or enjoy using them much, so the fact that I can combine them is really, really nice. And so yeah, I hope that this is one, I'm really proud to share my collection. And the fact that I have currently 14 products that I'm working on nearly daily, actually, that are all Franken. And, you've seen all the other products that go into them, which means I'm actually technically working on probably, you know, twofold the number of products because I'm able to use them in kind of a Franken way. Um, and I'm really grateful that I've have enough tools and enough techniques where I feel pretty successful almost with every single frankening project that I've done so far. So if you have any ideas of your own, please drop them in the comments. I really would love for you to share kind of what ideas you have, and I'm always looking for new projects as well. Like maybe, after I'm done with my cream blush, what will it look like for me to make my new cream blushes? I've seen people, melt tons of lipstick together to make a cream blush as well. I'm not quite there yet, but I feel like someday it's getting close. I have quite a large lipstick graveyard going over there, so I could see if I really wanted to make a cream blush, you know, Franken product, I would be able to do that. So, anyways, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. Thanks so much for watching this, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.